Love, a word that holds so many meanings yet so few truly understand it. For me, love was John Jungkook, my husband, my once breathtaking whirlwind romance. We started as strangers, two souls from different worlds who collided by fate, found solace in one another, and created a story I thought would last forever. Our love story wasn't easy. Jungkook was my best friend's older brother, the quiet, brooding man who rarely smiled but whose eyes told 1,000 stories. He had his walls up, but somehow I found the cracks. Somewhere between late night talks and stolen glances, I fell for him. I still remember the day he confessed. His voice was low, his confidence wavering, a side of him I rarely saw. "I know I don't deserve you," he had whispered, "but I can't imagine anyone else standing beside me in this lifetime." And just like that, we started a chapter I thought would be our forever. We got married under a sky full of stars, promising each other the world. Not long after, we welcomed our first child, a beautiful boy who looked just like his father, right down to the doe eyes that could pierce your soul. A year later, our second child, a girl, was born. Life was perfect, or so I thought. "Mommy, look," Jungsu, your eldest, beamed as he held up his drawing of a stick figure family. And there you all were, yourself, him, his little sister Jinju, and of course Jungkook. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," you said with a soft smile, pulling him into a warm hug. "You're getting so good at drawing." Jungsu giggled proudly before running off to show Jinju, who was busy stacking blocks in the corner of the living room. The clock on the wall caught your attention. It was past 8 p.m. and Jungkook still wasn't home. This was becoming a routine. Jungkook spent most of his time either at work or with the kids. He adored them more than anything else in the world, and while you loved seeing the joy they brought him, you couldn't help but feel the growing distance between the two of you. The sound of the front door opening snapped you out of your thoughts. "Daddy!" Jungsu's excited voice echoed through the house as he sprinted towards the door. Jungkook barely had time to put his briefcase down before Jungsu launched himself into his arms. "Whoa, buddy, did you miss me that much?" Jungkook laughed, lifting him effortlessly. "You are late," he said softly, stepping closer as Jungkook entered the living room, still holding Jungsu. "I know," he replied with a sheepish look, kissing Jungkook's forehead. "Work ran late and there was traffic." "Look, Daddy." Jungsu shoved the drawing into Jungkook's face, clearly eager for his approval. "I made this for you." Jungkook's expression softened as he took the paper in his free hand. "Wow, Jungsu, this is amazing. Did you draw all of us?" Jungsu nodded excitedly. "That's me, that's Mommy, and that's Jinju, and this one is you." He pointed at the biggest stick figure. Jungkook chuckled, his eyes filled with affection. "You made me the biggest." "You are too kind, buddy. Because you are the strongest." Jungsu grinned, wrapping his tiny arms around Jungkook's neck. "And don't you forget it," Jungkook teased playfully, flexing his arm. You watched the scene unfold, a bittersweet smile on your face. It was moments like this that made you fall in love with Jungkook all over again, but they also reminded you of how much things had changed. His focus was entirely on the kids now. "Daddy, can you play with me?" Jinju's small voice piped up as she toddled over with her blocks. "Of course, princess," Jungkook said, setting Jungsu down and crouching to Jinju's level. "What are we building today?" "A castle," she declared, her face lightened up with excitement. "A castle it is," Jungkook agreed, already diving into her pile of blocks. You stood there unnoticed as Jungkook immersed himself in their world. Jungsu joined in, eagerly adding blocks to the growing structure. "Careful, buddy, if you put that there, it might fall," Jungkook advised. "Like this?" Jungsu adjusted the block looking up at Jungkook for approval. Perfect, you're getting really good at this, Jungkook praised, ruffling his son's hair. Time seemed to blur as he watched them. Jungkook was completely engrossed in the moment, his laughter filling the room as he played with the kids. It was heartwarming, but it also left a hollow ache in your chest. Dinner is ready, you announced after a while, trying to draw some attention to yourself. Okay, we'll be there in a minute, Jungkook replied, not looking up as he placed the final block on Jinju's castle. You sighed quietly and turned back towards the kitchen, knowing they would likely take their time. By the time Jungkook and the kids joined you at the table, the food was already getting cold. Thank you for dinner, Jungkook said, giving you a small smile as he helped Jinju into her chair. It's no problem. You replied, forcing a smile as you served everyone, but deep down you couldn't help but wonder when was the last time Jungkook had looked at you the way he looked at them. After tucking Jungsu into bed, you made your way to the master bedroom. The soft glow of the bedside lamp cast long shadows across the room, and the quietness of the house felt almost suffocating. Jungkook was still in Jinju's room, waiting for her to fall asleep. She had grown attached to him lately, refusing to sleep unless he was by her side. You were sitting on the edge of the bed, running a hand through your hair as you exhaled deeply. Lying down, you stared at the ceiling, your thoughts swirling. It hadn't always been like this. Jungkook and you had a love story that could rival any romance novel. You had met him during your college years when your best friend invited you over for dinner at her place. Jungkook, her older brother, had been there, leaning casually against the kitchen counter, with his ever-present charisma and that boyish smile. You could still remember the way your heart skipped a beat when his eyes met yours for the first time. He had been so persistent, so determined to win you over despite your initial hesitation. Back then, he wasn't just a man. He was your best friend, your confidant, and your partner in every sense of the word. Lying in bed now, those memories played in your mind like an old movie. Back then, Jungkook would come home and sweep you into his arms, spinning you around as he asked about your day as if it was the most important thing in the world. His attention had been unwavering, his love for you so evident in everything he did. But now you were just the woman he shared a house with, the mother of his children. Maybe that was enough for him, but it wasn't enough for you. A soft ache settled in your chest as you closed your eyes. A single tear slipped down your cheek and you quickly wiped it away. Though no one was there to see, you had accepted this life for what it was. Jungkook was a good man and a great father, but somewhere along the way you had lost your husband. Moments later, you drifted off into an uneasy sleep. Jungkook entered the room quietly, careful not to wake you. His steps faltered when he saw you lying there, your face turned slightly towards him, your features illuminated by the faint glow of the bedside table. His heart twisted in his chest. Guilt washed over him as he noticed the faint streak of a tear dried on your cheek. He hadn't realized how distant he had become, how much his focus on the kids had taken away from the relationship that started it all. He walked over to you, his movements were tender, adjusting your pillow so you would be more comfortable. He gently pulled the blanket over you, ensuring you were warm. He crouched beside you, his gaze softened as he took in your peaceful face. Leaning down, he pressed a gentle kiss to your forehead. "Good night, love," he murmured, his voice barely audible, as if afraid to disturb your dreams. For a moment he stayed there, just watching you. Then, with a heavy sigh, he turned off the lights and climbed into bed beside you, his mind restless with thoughts of how he had let things slip so far. Jungkook had always prided himself on being a dedicated father. Every milestone of their children's lives was cherished. Every little laugh, every teardrop, he was there, as present as a father could be. But somewhere along the way he had forgotten what it meant to be a husband. The thought had never truly crossed his mind until that moment when the weight of the silence in their home hit him like a ton of bricks. It was late and he had just finished a long day at work. His footsteps echoed through the house as he quietly made his way to the living room where he could hear you talking to someone. He hadn't even realized how late it was until he heard your voice. I've learned to live with it. He's a great father, but I miss being his wife. The words hit him like a slap, even though you weren't speaking directly to him. He stood frozen. His breath caught in his chest. You had been lonely for how long, and he hadn't noticed. He hadn't even tried to notice. What have I done? The question echoed in his mind louder than any words he had ever spoken. He had been so wrapped up in giving his children everything he could that he had stopped giving you the one thing you had asked for: his attention, his love, his presence. For so long he had been blind to how you were drifting away, and now, with the realization of it crashing over him, he felt like a stranger in his own life. He stepped into the room quietly, almost afraid of the truth in your eyes. When you looked up at him, you hadn't noticed him at first, but when you did, there was a flicker of something in your gaze: uncertainty. Jungkook, you put the phone on the table and stood up. He looked like a man who just realized all his mistakes and don't know how to fix them. He didn't answer at first. Instead, he crossed the room towards you. His movements slow, deliberate, and then, without warning, he pulled you into his arms. You stiffened, surprised by the sudden intimacy. Your body froze. Jungkook, what happened? Is everything alright? You asked, your voice tinged with worry as you tried to pull back, but his grip on you tightened. I'm sorry. I've been a terrible husband. His words hit you like a cold gust of wind. The sudden apology, the weight behind it, made your heart skip a beat. You pulled back just enough to look at him. Your confusion only deepened. You searched his face, trying to make sense of the sudden shift in his attitude. What happened to you all of a sudden? What are you apologizing for? You whispered, still struggling to understand. He had never been this vulnerable before. Never so raw. For things that I messed up so badly, for being stupid and ignorant. I've been so focused on the kids, on everything else, that I forgot the one person who made all of this life I have possible. You. I have been so caught up in being a father that I lost sight of what it means to be a husband. I have neglected you, and I didn't even realize it until now. His words crashed over you like waves, each one carrying a deeper weight than the last. You didn't know what to say. His sudden emotional breakdown, the apology that felt so genuine, left you speechless. You are everything to me. Jungkook continued, his hands trembling as they cupped your face, and I made you feel like you weren't. I'm sorry. I've been so selfish. Your breath hitched as his words hit a nerve. You wanted to say something, anything, but the tightness in your chest made it hard to breathe. Jungkook had always been the strong one, the man who seemed to have everything under control, and now here he was apologizing for the things he couldn't take back. I didn't mean to hurt you. I got so lost in everything. I forgot that you were the one who made it all happen. I was so focused on being a good father that I forgot to be a good husband to you. For a moment, everything stood still. You closed your eyes, taking in his words, feeling the weight of everything that had gone unsaid between the two of you for so long. You wanted to be angry, to tell him how much it hurt, but something about the sincerity in his voice made it hard to hold on to that anger. You have been a great father, Jungkook. You finally spoke, your voice cracked slightly. But I'm not just your partner in raising our kids. I'm still the woman you married, the one who fell in love with you before any of this. I need your attention, your care too. His face softened and gaze filled with regret. He reached for your hand, his grip tight and steady. I have been selfish, Wyatt. I got so wrapped up in everything, the work, the responsibilities, the family, that I forgot to be present for you. I forgot how to show you that I still love you, that I still see you. You couldn't hold back anymore. The weight of it all came crashing down, and you let the words spill out, raw and unguarded. I needed you, Jungkook, not just as a father, but as my husband. I needed you to see me, to feel me, not just as a part of this household. I have become invisible to you. Sometimes I feel like I'm just here, waiting for you to notice me, but you don't. Not the way you used to. Jungkook's expression shifted, his eyes darkened with a mix of guilt and pain. He cupped your face gently, wiping away the tears that had begun to fall. I'm so sorry. I never wanted you to feel that way. I never wanted to make you feel invisible. You shook your head, trying to keep your composure. I see how you look at the kids, how much love you have for them, and I'm so grateful for that, Jungkook. I'm happy that you are the father they need, but sometimes I wish you would look at me that way again. I'm not just their mother, their caretaker. I'm your wife, the one you promised to love, and yet I feel like I'm fading into the background. Jungkook's hand tightened on yours, his thumb brushing over your knuckles as if trying to grasp onto something that had been slipping through his fingers for too long. I don't want you to feel that way, Vian. I've been so wrapped up in everything else, I didn't even realize how much I was neglecting you. You're everything to me. How could I forget that? You didn't forget, you just stopped seeing me. You became so focused on being a good father or making sure the kids had everything they needed that you forget about us, you forget about me, and it's been hurting for a while now. Jungkook's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time in what felt like forever, you saw the vulnerability he had buried so deep inside. I didn't realize that in giving them everything, I was taking everything from you. I'm so sorry, I never meant for you to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel invisible in my own marriage. I want you to see me, the woman you married, the woman who stood by your side when you needed her. I want to feel like I'm still the one you love, not just the mother of your children, not just the one who takes care of everything while you are out there doing everything else. Jungkook's face contoured with pain. I'm sorry, Vian. I have been blind to it all. I thought I was doing the right thing by focusing on the kids, by giving them everything they needed. But in doing that, I lost you. I lost the one person who mattered more than anything. I have been selfish, and I'm sorry for that. You let out a long, shaky breath. I don't need you to be perfect, Jungkook. I just need you to be here, to see me, to remember that I still need you too. I need the man who looks at me and made me feel like I was the most important thing in the world. I need that man back. Jungkook leaned in, resting his forehead against yours as he whispered, I'm here now, Vian, and I'm going to show you every day that you're not invisible to me. I see you. I see the woman who's been holding everything together, who has given so much of herself to this family. I'm going to be better, I promise. A sob escaped your chest, and for the first time in a long while, you felt like you could breathe again. I love you, Jungkook, but we have to work at this. I can't do it alone anymore. He kissed your forehead softly, his lips lingering for a moment longer than usual. We will, Vian. We'll take it one step at a time together. I'm not going to repeat this mistake again, not again. You are still my world and will forever. I'll keep showing you that until my last breath. As you sat there holding each other, you finally felt the flicker of hope you had been waiting for. Maybe it wasn't too late. Maybe you could find your way back to each other, slowly but surely, one step at a time. As the years passed, things continued to improve. You and Jungkook learned to balance the chaos of family life with the intimacy of a loving relationship. The laughter of your children filled the house, and the bond between you and Jungkook only grew stronger. You went on dates, simple ones, just the two of you with no distractions. Sometimes it was dinner, sometimes a walk under the stars, but always it was a reminder of the love that had never truly faded. Jungkook never stopped showing you that he loved you, and you did the same. One evening, as you and Jungkook sat on the porch watching Jungsu and Jinju play in the yard, he took your hand in his, squeezing it gently. I'm so proud of us. We have been through so much, but we are here, together. You smiled, resting your head on his shoulder. We have built something beautiful, haven't we? He kissed the top of your head, the most beautiful thing. As the kids continued to play, their laughter ringing out in the air, you felt at peace, and you and Jungkook had come full circle. The journey hadn't been easy, but you had both worked hard to get here, together, and now you had everything you had ever wanted. Your family, your love, and the promise that no matter what comes next, you would face it side by side.